Budgeting for study abroad is an essential part of the pre-departure process and will help you prepare financially for living and studying abroad and to make the most of your experience. This module will provide tips to help you manage your spending abroad. Topics include planning ahead, scholarships and loans, accessing money abroad, and budgeting. Some upfront costs, such as confirmation deposits, passports, student visas, and flights, can occur early on in the pre-departure process. But you shouldn't be intimidated. Undergraduate Financial Aid and Global Learning run a program called Bridge Builder that provides assistance for many of these expenses. Visit the website for more details. Booking flights doesn't have to be scary. Sign up for websites like Expedia, CheapOair, Just Fly, and Skyscanner. They will send you notifications when the price of flights go up or down. You should also take advantage of student perks, such as StudentUniverse.com, a site offering exclusive flight discounts and promo codes to students. Finally, flights are cheapest on Tuesdays at around 3 p.m. Eastern Time, between 50 and 100 days before you depart, so factor timing into when you decide to book. All students are encouraged to apply for study abroad scholarships to help offset the cost of your program. Scholarships come in all shapes and sizes, from competitive to easy and big to small. But the most important takeaway is that if you don't apply, you are leaving money on the table. With the support and advice of Global Learning Office, the Office of Fellowships, and the Office of Financial Aid, Northwestern students get thousands of dollars in outside study abroad scholarships every year. You just have to put in the legwork and submit a solid application. Student loans may be offered as part of your study abroad financial aid package, most commonly to help make up work-study funds you cannot earn while abroad. The most important thing to know is that loans are not bad and don't have to be scary. Loans can help you cover your flight, living expenses, or other costs you might not be able to manage on your own. Many students find that they can live more inexpensively than expected abroad, so you might discover that you don't need to borrow as much as you were offered. You may also be able to return unused loan funds at the end of the term if you borrowed more than you needed. In most cases, it is not necessary or advisable to open a foreign bank account. Instead, verify with your bank ahead of time to see if your debit credit card will work abroad, and notify them the dates you will be overseas so they don't flag your cards for fraudulent activity. You should also check to see if there are fees for when you use your cards abroad. If your current bank's fees seem high, call around to find different rates. There are a number of U.S. banks that do not charge or will waive these fees, so it's worth your time to take a look. You can also ask your bank if there is a sister bank in your host country. This could help you waive certain ATM transaction fees. There are different forms of payment you can use while abroad, including cash, credit cards, and mobile payments. Do some research to determine which one works best for your host country. Cash is the most widely used and accepted form of payment around the world. Plan to arrive to your host country with at least $100 in local currency in case you have issues with your debit or credit card. Also, make sure that you understand exchange rates and how the local currency compares to the US dollar. This can be a major budgeting pitfall if you forget to take it into account. Lastly, avoid cash exchange counters. As convenient as they may seem, exchange counters are known for attacking huge transaction fees on top of an already inflated exchange rate. Most cards are accepted abroad, but they're not usually accepted as widely as in the US. As previously mentioned, cash is king. Many stores, restaurants, and hotels in other countries do not accept credit cards, especially for purchases under $20. For that reason, you should try to have a small amount of cash in local currency with you at all times. If you plan to use a card abroad, make sure it has a chip. In many countries around the world, chip and PIN or EMV enabled cards are the norm. These cards use a microchip and a personal identification number to validate transactions instead of a cardholder's signature. Rather than swiping your card, you insert into a machine and enter your PIN stored on the chip. As a reminder, Contact your credit card company to ask about fees and exchange rates. And finally, think about purchasing prepaid credit cards that you can load with enough money for your time abroad. ATMs are the best way to access money abroad, although it varies by country. Plus, Star, and Cirrus systems are popular ones you will likely see. Although ATMs are the best place to get money abroad, one of the biggest misconceptions is that there is one flat fee to withdraw money. In reality, you can be charged multiple fees, which usually include a flat $2 to $5 transaction fee from your bank, a percentage fee for the currency conversion, 1 to 3%, and possibly a fee from the foreign ATM. These fees can unknowingly take a big chunk out of your budget, so we highly recommend finding a bank with reciprocal relationships abroad and a card that doesn't charge foreign transaction fees. On a positive note, ATMs are known for giving the best exchange rate, so as long as you can budget for the fees, ATMs are probably the smartest option. A mobile payment, also known as mobile wallet, is a payment where a mobile device is used to authorize and confirm a transaction. Think QuickPay, Venmo, and Apple Pay. Mobile payments are becoming increasingly more popular and are being used in place of traditional payment systems such as cash, credit, or debit cards. But before you plan to go fully mobile, do some research to see if mobile payments are common and accepted in your host country. Also, keep in mind that while this method is very convenient, security can be a major issue. Here are a few helpful reminders. Be sure to write down all of your card numbers as well as the phone numbers to call if they are lost or stolen. Remember that 800 numbers do not work from overseas, so make sure to have a number with a U.S. area code. Occasionally, PIN numbers that start with the number 0 do not work internationally. If this applies to you, we recommend that you change your PIN before you go. Lastly, make photocopies of the front and back of all of your cards. Keep them separate from your originals and leave a copy with a trusted friend or family in the U.S. It is very helpful to make a budget before you arrive to your host country, but it can also be very helpful to record what you are spending each week once you are abroad to make sure you are sticking to your budget. To start creating your budget, research cost of living at your host country and talk to returnees from your program. But remember that how much you spend largely depends on your personal habits. Finally, if you receive financial aid, make sure to meet with Krista Bethel to review your aid package and plan your budget, especially if you might receive a financial aid refund. Eating out and experiencing the food culture in your host country is often a major highlight of studying abroad. It can also be one of the most expensive. Here are some tips to help you stay on a budget while still enjoying the local cuisine. If your program provides a meal plan or includes any meals, eat them. If you paid for a meal plan and don't use them, you're basically double paying for food. Limit eating at restaurants, but don't avoid them entirely. Food is often a big part of local culture, so never eating out is unreasonable. This could mean eating out once a week for some students and once a month for others. But the point is to avoid the habit of eating at restaurants, especially at fast food restaurants, on a daily basis. Long term, this can save you lots of money. When you do choose to eat out, look out for lunch menus, daily specials, or all-you-can-eat deals, and compare prices and portions with the regular menu. Don't order food that doesn't have a price listed on the menu, unless that's the norm. If you're in a group, have everyone order a different appetizer in place of the most expensive entrees. Then pass them around so everyone gets a taste of each dish. Lastly, it might seem like tipping is a nice gesture, but in some countries, the cost of service is included in your bill and servers are paid a fair wage, so tipping is not expected or customary. Cooking is a great way to eat on a budget and still allows you to try new foods and local recipes. To save money, search out local vendors and markets in your area. Stick to generic or store brands. Plan out your meals ahead of time and don't shop on an empty stomach. Food always looks better, even food you don't need, when you're hungry. While most toiletries are available abroad, if you are particular about the types of products you use or aren't sure if you'll be able to get products for your skin or hair type while abroad, bring them with you. Many of these items, especially those imported from the US, are a lot more expensive or impossible to find in other countries. Also, we recommend bringing insect repellent, sunscreen, and contact lens solution if you need them. These things tend to be expensive in other countries, and it's worth carrying them with you rather than paying up to 3 times as much to buy a tiny bottle once you're there. In many countries, the subway is the main form of transportation. The subway tends to be more convenient and will help you save time, money, and energy. Another more environmentally friendly, culturally relevant way of getting around is by bike. Many cities in Europe offer daily bike rentals for a low fee. And while ride-sharing services like Uber are very popular in the US, we also recommend researching if it is a safe and legal option in your host country. Unless you have a world or global phone, chances are you'll have to find a new cell phone and carrier in your host country. Even if you have a global phone, you might find better rates offered by local providers, so ask students that have studied in your host country for recommendations. A popular option is to either find a cheap smartphone abroad or unlock your current phone and buy a local SIM card. You can then purchase a pay-as-you-go phone plan to keep your spending on track while still keeping in touch with your friends and family. You'll also want to look for the various travel-related apps, both on mobile devices and laptops, that can help you communicate for free and find deals all over the world. The idea of traveling to different countries during free weekends sounds fun, but can be extremely expensive. While this is a great option, it's understandable that not everyone can afford it. If you have a limited budget, fear not. Many of our returnees have expressed how local excursions make up some of their best study abroad memories. We recommend researching the area and looking for free or discounted activities, avoiding tourist traps, and embracing the student experience by traveling by bus and staying in youth hostels. Depending on location, there might be options for working abroad. Some student visas will legally allow you to work for a certain amount of hours per week, so research to figure out if there's an option for you. Cash jobs like tutoring and babysitting can also be an option. These tips were taken directly from student returnees. They recommend the following. Avoiding scams. For instance, with taxis, keep your luggage nearby. Establish a price beforehand and carry small bills so you can pay them the exact amount of money and not risk them saying, "Sorry, I have no change." Also, don't take pictures of people without their permission. They might ask for payment afterwards. Bargaining. For instance, when you visit markets such as the Silk Market or Pearl Market in China, expect the initial price for items to be extremely marked up. In fact, you can usually bargain down 10-20% of the initial price, but bargaining takes some getting used to. Taking advantage of discounts. A lot of museums and tourist locations have half-off student discounts. Finally, to create your budget, plan ahead with a budget worksheet, checklist, or app. Compare the cost of living in different countries. Use a currency converter to know how much you're spending in US dollars. Explore secondhand options for power adapters, cell phones, SIM cards, and apartment essentials. And most importantly, contact returnees or GLOW ambassadors for more tips.